Yes, Fibblethip, I hear you loud and clear. Well, it's gonna take me a while to get there. I'm at my lab on Innistrad. What's going on? So what you're saying is squirrels have made their way into the Hydroid Crisis Regrowth Program. Well, Fibblethip, this is two things. This is good news and bad news. The good news is that we can use these squirrels to our advantage. The bad news is that I need you to stay there, protect the laboratory until I can planeswalk there. And to you at home, welcome to Secret Laboratory. Braska, have you seen the keys to the Visiotech Fibblethip's in the But yes, welcome to Toski, Bearer of Secrets. Hopefully you're excited to talk about a legendary squirrel today that draws cards. Me too. Alright, so we have Toski, 4 total mana. This spell can't be countered, indestructible. Toski is going to attack each combat if able. Then, whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. So, one of the cool things about Toski is that no matter what sort of build you're going to go for, whether it's Squirrel Tribal, whether you're going to make it your commander for your Elf Tribal deck, whatever sort of mono-green deck you have that has a ton of creatures in it, this is going to be a viable commander for that deck. You know, if you get tired of playing Commander X, you can always do a commander swap and go from there. This is going to be a very versatile commander. You can pretty much put it into any sort of deck. As long as you have that heavy creature package, you're going to be able to get some extra value, and that's going to be a ton of fun. Now, depending on what sort of build you go with Toski, you pretty much want to run some sort of enter the battlefield effect. You're going to be running a lot of creatures in your deck. You want to make sure you're squeezing as much value as possible. If you've never played a value commander like this, simply layering some sort of extra value on top of it, that's what's going to win you the game. So stuff like Path of Discovery, Cream of Crop, Guardian Project, you want to be able to cast those creatures, get some sort of incremental value, then cash in that card draw as they go to attack. Same thing with Beast Whisper and Shaman Revelation. You're going to be running a lot of creatures. You're going to have a lot of enter the battlefield. Even if they don't have an enter the battlefield effect, just getting these down is going to allow you to get that card advantage, really start cycling through your deck and finding your win condition, and then just having Beast Whisper on the battlefield. You know, you start casting some of your low converted mana cost creatures late in the game. That's going to allow you to refuel again and start to really build up your board presence. Another thing that you definitely want to incorporate into the foundation for your deck for Toski is some sort of just extra value at the combat step. Dolmen Gate's going to make it to where you can just swing in with your creatures and not worry about combat damage being dealt to your creatures. Bow's going to give you that Death Touch. If you don't know how Death Touch and Trample interacts, as long as you can deal 1 point of Death Touch to a creature, you're going to allow that other damage to trample through. So just little things like this is going to add up over the course of the game. Same thing with Ronus Monument. That's going to give you that good reduced cost for your creatures and at the same time give you that extra, you know, +2/+2 in Trample. There's going to be some times where you have a 1/1 out there, a 2/2. Simply just giving that +2 trample effect is going to allow you to get that card draw, which is going to allow you to get more and more creatures out and really just kind of get that value snowballing. That's going to be the name of the game with a deck like this. You know, you just get that value going nice and steady at the beginning and then really allow it to kind of push you into the late game. Same thing with Curse of Bounty and then actual Ronus himself. With Curse of Bounty, that's going to give you an extra main phase. You're going to have that mana untap, and then same thing, you're going to have that activated ability of dealing that +2 and giving your creatures trample. One thing that you do want to think about with your creatures in building this deck is getting extra creatures on the battlefield in the attack step. Kessid Cage Breakers is a wonderful card, especially if you've been hit by a board wipe or something like that. Being able to attack and get all these extra wolf tokens already on the battlefield tapped and attacking, you're going to have some swings to where you just swing in, even if you're going to lose Cage Breaker. Simply just kind of rebounding from a board wipe to get that card draw is going to allow you to kind of push the game out. Same thing with Wolf Pride and Blob. You're just looking for those extra creatures going into combat. You want to complicate your opponent's blocking ability by just dumping all these extra creatures on the battlefield and really kind of swarm them out. Another way you can really kind of amplify the combat step, Wild Beastmaster and Cultivator of Blades. It's great to have a lot of low converted mana cost creatures in a deck to really kind of churn them out, but what ends up happening is you need some sort of enabler to go for like an alpha swing. If you can get the power and toughness going up on Wild Beastmaster or something like Cultivator of Blades, this is going to allow you to really kind of push in. You may not close the game out by getting rid of a player or getting rid of everybody at the table, but it's going to allow you to get that card draw, and that's what's going to help you close the game out. And then just extra value stuff. Champion, Questing Beast, Frostfang. You just want to layer these extra creatures that care about combat, either entering the battlefield or getting that extra card draw to tag along with Toski. Now, one thing that you do want to incorporate is running maybe some sort of equipment package in here. You're going to have creatures going to the combat step. Bloodforged Battle Axe is a wonderful piece of equipment for a deck like this. You get it on an early creature, get a copy of it, and you can just kind of keep that threat looming over the entire course of the game as they keep swinging in. Prying Blade is going to give you some extra mana and treasure tokens. And then Mask of Memory. You know, Mask of Memory is one of those cards that if you just have nothing going on, sticking on an unblockable creature, just start swinging in. Ask PJ, an unchecked Mask of Memory, especially in a Boros deck or a deck like this, you just get that card draw turn after turn after turn, and that's going to help you close the game out. So something like Mask of Memory may seem kind of small, but just kind of stacking that on top of Toski's effect is really going to help you get that card draw going. Then also stuff like Trailblazer's Boots and Sword of the Animist. You want to have some sort of unblockable threat. You want to have Sword of the Animist to get you extra lands on the battlefield. You just want to keep your board state moving, especially in a deck like this, whether it's having an unblockable creature or getting that extra mana. Now, if you're unsure what sort of creatures to run in a deck like this, it is perfectly fine to run just this hodgepodge of creatures. There's actually some really good options in green as far as having creatures that have some sort of walk ability, non-basic land walk. You've got swamp walk, you've got island walk. There's probably about 5 or 6 other more creatures that have some sort of walk ability, especially if you're sitting down at a multiplayer table. There's going to be a lot of different lands at the table. Simply just having one of these be able to always connect turn after turn, that's going to get that card draw going. Another option that you can go if you're not really wanting to go tribal is some sort of unblockable. We have Spire Tracer, Ginger Brute, Treetop Scout. You just have these creatures that can get in, you know, especially if a creature doesn't have something that can block these creatures with flying. Simply just keeping that card draw steady and consistent is going to be very important to a deck like this. And then also, you know, just kind of low converted mana cost death touch creatures. There may be a couple times to where the board state's not good for you to swing in, but you just swing in with Wasteland Viper with the death touch creature. They're not really wanting to lose one of their creatures and like, fine, have a card draw. Those will add up over the course of the game. So if you don't know where to take the deck, just running even just these 9 creatures in addition to something sort of like Mana Dorks or something like that, you have a deck because you're going to be able to establish some sort of card draw engine, especially using your commander. Now, the fun part of this deck, and that is taking it in an Enchantress line of play. We have a commander that is indestructible, which is always nice for Enchantress, and we also have a couple different combos that we can actually work with Toski. So, if you don't know about Enchantress, the main part is getting down some sort of extra enabling value. So like I mentioned at the beginning, we have Toski, we're going to get that card draw value. Putting another kind of value piece on top of it was really going to push your deck into the late game. So we have a Growthian Enchantress, Enchantress Presence, simply just getting that card draw from casting an enchantment, then swinging with the creatures, getting that extra card draw. You're going to have access to a ton of resources. Then using something like Ancestral Mass to really kind of power up the power and toughness of Toski. Now, moving on to the part that makes this deck beautiful, Earthcraft and Squirrel Nest. This is a combo. So you have Squirrel Nest on a land, you have Earthcraft, you can squirrel into the battlefield, you untap that, use Earthcraft, using that squirrel to untap Squirrel Nest. You have infinite squirrels on the battlefield now. So this is definitely, you know, even if you're not taking this deck in Enchantress, just simply just running this in here as a, because combos are not bad for Commander. Combos are good for Commander. Their games need to end sometimes. So the way I like to view combos is break glass in case of emergency. I'm here to have a fun time, but if things get out of hand, I need something that's going to allow me to close the game out. And simply just running this in here without an Enchantress package to support it is going to be more than enough. One of the other things that I absolutely love about Toski, and this is one of my favorite interactions in Magic, that is Druid's Call. So whenever enchanted creature is dealt damage, that controller puts that, I'm thinking about this combo. Alright, so whenever enchanted creature is dealt damage, it puts that many 1/1 squirrel tokens into play. So we have Predatory Urge. Basically, it's going to give Toski the ability to fight. So let's say that we have this damage be dealt, we can activate Toski, fight another creature, it's indestructible, so Toski's going to stick around. So let's say that we have Toski fight some big 5/5 creature, we have Druid's Call on there, that's going to be 5 squirrels that come off of Toski onto the battlefield. So Little stuff like that is what's going to make this deck a ton of fun. You don't really have to run a lot of stuff to support it, but simply just having this Druid's Call, Predatory Urge line of playing your deck to tutor up, just to have some fun with, I guarantee you, even if you don't win the game, if you get Druid's Call active, you get Predatory Urge active, and you go for a few activations, you've already won the game. One of the other things that if you are going for Enchantress build, you want to run some sort of lure effect with Toski. Having everybody block it and stick around, that is very much mono green. It reminds me of my first mono green deck. Putting lure on a Death Touch creature is a ton of fun. So if you can get lure onto Toski, give it Death Touch, you have a board wipe right there. That's what's going to make this deck so good for like an Enchantress build, is that if you're running all these pieces in there, you're going to get that card draw, so you may end up with an indestructible squirrel. You've got lure on there, you've got Druid's Call, Predatory Urge. You can end up with this just crazy looking squirrel, and that is what Commander's about. Now, one of the other ways that you can really take advantage of that combat trigger, or getting extra creatures on the battlefield very quickly and very cheaply, is stuff like Sylvan Awakening and Root Awakening. You're in mono green, you're going to be doing a lot of ramping, you're going to have a lot of lands on the battlefield. Being able to turn your lands into man lands, swing in, deal some damage, that's going to give you that extra card draw. Let's say you get hit with a board wipe, you have Toski on the battlefield, simply just casting Sylvan Awakening late game, cashing in a ton of card draws is going to allow you to rebound and kind of go from there. Now, how heavy you want to go with that, it's kind of up to you, but I would definitely run Sylvan Awakening, because there's just a lot of games where it's just going to win you the game, getting in that much combat damage. Even if you don't take somebody out, just getting that card draw is going to put you at a high spot in the game. Some other stuff that you can incorporate is going to be Nissa. Nissa is going to be able to animate some of your lands. Nissa Who Shakes the World, that's going to just give you, turn all of your forest into ancient tombs, which is a wonderful thing. But both of these have that. Turn a forest into a land creature, that's going to add up. Remember, you're trying to get that value snowballing. And then other, Kamal. You can totally run the Kamal brothers, which are the same Kamal, just two different cards. Once again, hitting on that theme of turning lands into creatures. You've got Kamal's Will, which is going to do the exact same thing. It's going to give them indestructible, which is very nice because you just swing them in. Don't worry about how they block. Whatever sort of card draw you get, you just go from there. Now, you are building green. And so one of the things that you do want to do is you want to be able to go wide. So some variation of Deranged Hermit, Hornet Queen, Deep Forest Hermit. You want to be able to get creatures on the battlefield, not just through the combat step like Cage Breakers, but simply just being able to cast these, get these extra squirrels coming in. That's really going to help you out. And of course, if you're going to be getting a ton of creatures on the battlefield, I know people always joke about it, but you've got Crater Hoof, you've got Enraged Forerunners. People will moan and groan when you play Crater Hoof on the battlefield. That's going to happen. But there's going to be one person not moaning and groaning, and that's you as you add up the combat damage. It's a ton of fun. You're in mono green. Toss Crater Hoof in there. If you don't have access to Crater Hoof, I think it's around 40 bucks. Enraged Forerunners would be a great option. You're going to have something that, once you draw to the late game, you have your mana established, you're going to be able to really swing in wide and take care of the board state. And also, just getting that extra, sorcery ramp style stuff. Triumph of the Hordes, Overwhelming Stampede, Overrun. Once again, you've got creatures on the battlefield, they've been drawing you cards, then you need to close the game out. Use something like this as a late game threat to close it out. But that is going to be it for the video. Hopefully you have fun building Toski. If you have some sort of way that you're going to take the deck that I didn't cover, hop in the comments. I know people that do enjoy watching this and looking for deck ideas, and hearing how you're going to take the deck. That kind of helps get the creative juices going with me in building the deck too. But probably going to see Toski Enchantress come out on the deck. If you've seen Get Rog on my channel, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's Get Rog Hypnotoad. Just search Get Rog Jolt on YouTube, you'll be able to find it. But I think that's where I'm going to take it, because I've always loved the Predatory Urge Druid's Call line of play. It's a lot of fun. But that's going to be it for the video. If you enjoyed it, hey, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.